What is the state of the province, and what is the vision for the year and years ahead? And taking us through that discussion is Premier Phumulo Masualle, who's been talking to us about the plan for the province, and I'm going to speak a little bit to him about the provincial development plan shortly. But just to say that we have a new MEC that's joined us on the stage, MEC Sakhumzi Somyo. Thank you very much, the MEC for Finance, Economic Development, Environmental Affairs and Tourism. And I'm going to come to you just now, but perhaps just to finish off a question that was put to you by the Black Business Council, and it's about skills. Our graduates, you've got great universities, tertiary institutions, FET colleges here, but these guys are going to other parts of the country, as you said, because they might feel there's better opportunities. How does a businessman, an industrialist, get to retain these skills in the country and the development of youth as well?
Yes, it is in creating a demand for skills. The skills will be retained when actively engaged. And so the development of the province makes for the skills to be necessary from a range of skills we need. So once there is certainty on our development path, there is a constant delivery and transformation. It requires skilled people to drive that. And I think the path in which we are provides for certainty. We're diversifying, and there's a lot of activity taking place. We're talking agro-processing, we need skilled people. And once there is certainty, there are many people who really are yearning to stay in the province, who are making inquiries. They want to come back to the province, but they want to come back to a thriving environment. And that is what we are facilitating as I speak.
All right, let me turn to MEC Somyo. MEC for Finance, Economic Development, Environmental Affairs and Tourism. And that's quite a huge portfolio. I've had the opportunity to drive up the coastline a few times, and it's breathtaking views. So tourism really shouldn't be a problem. You've got some great parks inland as well. So that should be an easy sell. But I guess also one of the challenges that you have is you've got, as the Premier says, transforming this economy. What are going to be the game changers? What are you going to do differently? Because clearly you can't do what you've always been doing.
Well, thank you very much, Peter. The province is in the channel of changing things around. If you look into our resolve into getting into the big play in as far as energy is concerned, we have moved into the arena of a gas production in terms of exploration. As you look into the Karoo potential, shale gas, and that's indeed a game changer for us. It's a massive in terms of what we have established in terms of the studies. We have partnered with the University of Nelson Mandela Bay to get into details around that. The second factor is that as a big player in energy, resolve, green energy per se, if you would see the margins of turning the tide around the energy issues, the big wind turbines that we could see driving through Jeffreys Bay, which is one of the biggest operation as we speak in the southern African instance, which produces massively in the megawatt requirements, contribution into the grid in saving the country the required standard in terms of the energy. And the area of green production, which goes even further into the ocean economies, our intervention should take into cognizance the fact that we are sharing a stretch of more than 800 kilometers of the coastline, which carries the province potential in terms of getting into new areas of production in terms of ocean economies. What is a driver for us to even benefit more is our drive to ensure that we develop our roads efficiently. If you look into what we seek to do in terms of the N2 development from Durban up to East London, which itself is bringing the turnaround in what we could term the Wild Coast meander for tourism in the area, which is going to unlock the Wild Coast itself We look into our proposition in terms of the third industrial development zone, which is the SEZ, which is going to take the turn of the eastern part of the province in the Transkei, where we're going to focus on agro-processing, which itself is going to carry the production line in as far as primary agriculture, taking it into further processing, taking it to markets, and exposing our people to productive land, moving it up into the actual processing in terms of industrialization of the area of the Transkei.
All right, okay, we're going to explore education in a short while. But Premier, just before the break, we heard some responses to your State of the Province address. One was from the DA, and they said that you gave a few lines only to corruption. It's a big problem. But we also heard from the South African Communist Party earlier in the year, and they said that action needs to be taken on forensic reports about corrupt activities. We cannot, and I'm quoting now, we cannot continue to have the Kabuso report in Nelson Mandela Bay, the Ernst Young report in Buffalo City, and the Nelson Mandela Memorial scandal hanging as a dark cloud in the movement. As long as there's no action on wrongdoing, those inactions do not represent the ANC-led alliance. These reports are out there. We heard earlier on, investigations happen, reports happen, and there's a feeling that you're not taking them seriously.
Well, thank you, Peter. That is far from the truth. Respectfully, I must say that the honourable member of the opposition, of course, would have to say something.
I didn't hear that.
But the honest truth is that we are taking the fight against corruption very seriously. And to the extent that there are reports that have been generated, I think I heard somebody in the clip speaking to a report that is supposed to be with me in the office. And I could only think that that could have been local government. Indeed, there is a report for which we're considering it. That has just been produced, and indeed we have to consider the report so that we act properly on its contents. Regarding the Kabuso report as it relates to Nelson Mandela, that was dealt with by the council in Nelson Mandela. And perhaps what could be the question is, in the council dealing with it, has it exhausted what it had to do? It's something we are ready to follow up and assist the council to make sure that it takes the appropriate actions. So would be the other councils. I think the Ernst Young report probably is a report for some time that dealt with some investigation that was done in the Buffalo City municipality. So again, I think I take the point. I think the point of emphasis then would have been that when there are reports generated, the reports must be taken serious. Indeed, we are taking them serious. With respect to the Nelson Mandela matter, certainly we have people that are before courts as we speak. That is action that is being undertaken by government. And to the extent that we have also the public protector seized with the matter, once the report is produced by the public protector, I can assure you, action will be taken.
Why is it that some of your officials have to be subpoenaed? In other words, forced to appear before the public protector? They should offer themselves. Why do they have to be forced to?
I agree with you entirely. Only that I'm not exposed to the detail as to what really happened to lead to that. It's indeed regrettable. It should be that on request, people really avail themselves to the public protector at the most, or any other investigating authority. But I can only say as much, I'm not very much exposed to really what could have led to that.
You've been in the job about 9 months now, and you said that you were going to really address this. And I'm just wondering, in that time, how many officials would you say have gone through the court system and have been punished for wrongdoing?
In the rest of the public service?
Yeah, in your province.
Look, I don't have that at hand right now. It's something that...
more than 10?
10 is it's an insignificant number. It's a very insignificant number. We're working with on a public service that has got, education alone employs more than, health employs more than 45,000 workers, education, even more than that. The public service is quite large in terms of numbers that we have. There are disciplinary cases, there are dismissals, there are people taken to court almost every other month that is being dealt with. Where it is needed, we can draw that statistic and make it public.
All right, let's talk education now, because this time a year ago, the Corruption Watch Group came out with a report, and they said that there's massive corruption in the school system, and the Eastern Cape was the province perceived to have the most corrupt principals. Have you been able to address that? Is that true?
Well, look, Peter, the matter of corruption is by its nature an insidious phenomenon where what you can do is to strengthen your systems, because it tends to thrive where systems are weak and controls are weak. In as far as facts and figures, all I can say to you, I would want to avoid generic statements labeling people, but rather zoom into what we've done. First and foremost, the nature in which monies are allocated to schools on their own have got their own challenges. You see, you allocate money to school based on the norms and standards for school funding per head of a child, and you then entrust the parents through the school governing body to be the custodian of the resources. Now you imagine these are part-time people, these are people that are not full-time. And the principal, the manager of the school, by very nature, is the person who must then assist or help the parents. The signatories, the chairperson, the treasurer, and the law is clear, they must be parents. Now, in that scenario, your situation is vulnerable. And what we've done then, therefore, for this year, I've asked administration to say, let's appoint a company that is professional to assist us, because our people are vulnerable. Money is like cooked food. You pass once, by the second time, you have a plan to do what to do about it.
But I'm sure that Auditor General's office makes recommendations on how to fix things. And I'm just wondering then, are you not hearing them? Or is it just a question of there's a difficulty in implementing those recommendations?
No, we've started to follow those. We've appointed over the last 3 years a systems improvement program leader. That is why, for instance, over the last 2 successive years, we've been able to move from a disclaimer 2 times consecutively, sitting with an unqualified report, unqualified opinion. Of course, it's not good results, but at least it has marked a difference. On top of that, this year I've said, let's appoint a professional company that must zoom into schools and assist in setting up systems where we have challenges that are glaring, should be able to come in with.
Okay, my last question for education. I'm told that part of the challenges that you're facing is, simple things like inspectors going into schools, that in some schools they haven't seen an inspector for many years, sometimes as many as 7 years. How is this possible, and is that not a reason why there's only a 64% chance you're going to get through matric in the Eastern Cape?
Just but one part of a broader challenge, both objective and at a subjective level, yes and no. The first thing, yes, in the sense that historically, how we have been appointing professionals in the department had more like high levels of influence by outsiders away from the government authorities, and no to the effect that the type of qualifications that we're looking at for a level of what you roughly call an inspector or the education development officer. I've asked for a review of the conditions of appointment of EDOs. These are what you call inspectors. But secondly, the whole question of the system itself, once again, because you must remember the department, its work is measured by how schools are performing, not by how many times we get into the office, and therefore strengthening the oversight at the school level becomes very important.
All right, okay. We're going to have to see what the responses are from people in the ground who are experiencing the system, and we'll put those questions through to you. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then when we come back, we'll continue to get your thoughts as well as the thoughts of the audience that's here in the Eastern Cape. Stay with us.